Well, Nora Brownell knows a thing or two about smart grid issues and FERC policy statements. She's a former FERC Commissioner, also a director at SB Energy Solutions. Nora, good to see you again.
Great to see you too.
Tell us how significant is FERC's move today? It just sort of puts on a fast track the development of these standards?
Yes, I think it's incredibly important. People have been holding back from the deployment of the technologies that we need to empower customers, facilitate renewables, and really add a sophistication to a grid that frankly is 1950s. And what they've done is said to people, here's what we want you to do. Focus on the priorities, cybersecurity, interoperability, making sure people are starting the standards, because there will be years in development with the right places at the right times. Go ahead.
Now, a lot of the manufacturers and the utilities and other stakeholders, I know they've all been going to these workshops that NIST has been holding, so the standards have been in progress. So what does today's vote kind of do? It sort of paves the way for fast-tracking those?
Yes, it does. I think I'm on the GridWise Architecture Committee, and we've been meeting for almost 2.5 years. But I think it tells people that in a very complex engineered network, you need to start somewhere, and these are the areas in which people need to focus to get right up front. For example, we don't want to have what happened in one state, who shall go nameless. They spent tens of millions of dollars on meters that were only one way. Okay. Well, that's not smart. That's actually pretty dumb. So we want to make sure that we end up with what we're promising the ratepayers and, frankly, everyone who is investing in this next generation.
Well, the statement from FERC today said it will not interfere with states' ability to adopt whatever metering or other demand response program it chooses. Is that a significant statement?
I think it's significant. One of the responses to the original policy statement was the fear from the states that it would interfere with their ability to determine meter functionality, for example, at the home level. But what I hope it does, Susan, is directs the states to start thinking about the importance of consistency between and among the states that will drive efficiencies, that will drive communication, and that will, frankly, will add value to them. In Italy, Enel has deployed $2 billion worth of meters at the home level. Mm-hmm. They save 500 million euros a year, so those meters have already paid for themselves. They started in 2001, and electricity rates are coming down based on the maintenance savings. Now, if commodity prices go up, that's a different thing, but as you're balancing all of this, that's really important.
Right. Now, Spitzer came out and said that this is a step towards smarter rates. What does he mean by that?
Well, I think it will allow people eventually to have options about when and how they use their electricity. This is the only commodity we buy where we have no idea what we're buying, we have no idea what the price is at any given moment of day,
and the bill comes and we...
And that's, there we are. This way, people can make smart decisions. They buy iPods, they buy music from 20 different sources, they buy movies from 20 different sources, they manage it when and how they want to use it, and it seems unbelievable to me that we're still buying something that we really don't know how or why we get it.
You mentioned security issues. What about privacy issues with all this back and forth, this two-way information flow? Are there going to be privacy issues raised?
Well, I think that's a red herring, frankly, from people who don't want to move forward. There are privacy issues raised with Google, with Microsoft, with a lot of interactive technologies, but there will be ways to preserve that. Google does it every day. What I think that we need to do is remember, though, that ultimately the customer owns the information. The utility doesn't own it. So if I want to give my information to any other source to help me manage my use, I should be able to do that. And I think we'll see a big privacy argument that's really all about keeping customers.
So we're not going to be hearing from our utility or power company who says, you know, we've noticed you're using an awful lot of energy around 5 p.m. Why don't you try running your dryer at 10 p.m.?
Well, I would hope they'd be able to send those signals, but I would hope I'd be able to manage that too in an interactive progress. If you look at the Google iMeter or Microsoft Home, HOHM, I think it is, it'll give you ways that you can learn about that and actually eventually actively interact with that or with your utility.
What is in it for utilities? They get a chance to sort of recover some costs from this if they take early action on starting smart grid technology?
Yes, they get a chance to make investment with the insurance that if they are prudent, they can, certainly at the wholesale level, the bulk transmission level, which is what FERC mandates, they can come in, they can make a case for putting it into rate base, and they also can have single rate decisions. So in other words, instead of coming up and opening up the kimono for everything, which no utility likes to do, which is why they do it about every 10 years, they can come in on a single issue. We put this technology on our transmission system. It meets the criteria that you set up: interoperability, cybersecurity, flexible, so it can be changed. It enables new and upcoming technologies, not just what we know today. And FERC will look at that as a single issue. That's really important, gives the utility a lot of cover.
Okay, so NIST has been in this three-phase plan to come up with standards. What will we see after today that will be different now this policy statement is out?
Well, I think NIST, who has typical meetings are 500 to 1,000 people. They include everyone who has an interest. I think NIST can now say this is where we have to focus our energies. And I think working closely with DOE, who has already adopted some standards, they can give the resources they need to develop these standards. Industry will know which way and when to expect. And frankly, not unlike telecom, industry's already begun to develop its own standards and communications protocols. That happens, but what we need to do is create this framework so we don't end up, $5 billion later with an oops, this doesn't do the job.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about SB Energy Solutions. That's where you are now.
We're really excited. A former colleague at the FERC, Christine Schmidt, and I started SB. It's a women-owned business. We're doing a lot of work on stimulus, on communications plans, on education for consumers, and we're really anxious to be part of the new world, because as you know, for 10 years I've been talking about the importance of technologies, and maybe I'll live to see it happen.
We hope so. All right, we'll be following what you're doing over at SB, and thank you for your insight into smart grid standards.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Nora Brownell, we appreciate it.